When I became a father the first time, I felt a heavy weight come down on my shoulders. Because not only was I responsible for me, but now I was responsible for somebody else. If they had food, if they had water, if they had a place to sleep at night, I was responsible for that because I was the father. And I felt that come right down on top of me. And it stayed there ever since. Well, when Jana was the oldest, and when she was born, I felt that weight come down on me.
Jana was born in '62. Before she left the hospital, she developed a heart murmur. She wasn't born with it, but she developed a heart murmur. And so the doctor told us we had to keep her quiet and not let her cry. How do you do that with a newborn? But anyway, Elden and I took her and went to the ranch, and my mother helped. Because we were up like every 2 hours with her, because the minute she'd whimper, we'd jump up to feed her so that she wouldn't cry. She eventually outgrew this murmur, so she doesn't have it to this day. But
she was a sweetheart. When she got old enough, they'd ask her to teach the primary. Well, even before that, they had her go in the nursery and help in the nursery. And so she done that and enjoyed it.
Jana being the oldest, we were hardest on her because you always think your oldest has got to be the smartest and perfect. And so we were kind of hard on her. And Lorna being the youngest, we were the easiest on her because by then, after 4, things don't make so much difference anymore. They don't matter. A lot of the things that you thought were important weren't. My 2 kids in between, Marla was the most mischievous. She was a lot of fun. She always thought up things to do for us and float ducks down the ponds at the reunions and things like that. She always did that. But I've got to tell this one story on her. She asked this boy to a girls' choice dance. And when it was time for her to go pick him up, she sent the policeman to go get him. And the cop had made a deal. She'd asked him to do this for her. And so he went to the door, knocked on the door, and said, "You need to come with me. There's been a break-in down to the school, and your name's been mentioned." And the poor kid was standing there, not me, I didn't do it. And so they took him down to the courthouse, and there was Marla and the other girls that were going to the dance, and then he found out that that's what she done. But that's the kind of girl she was.
I loved about her, she was a hard worker. She was always trying to outdo me and outdo Kirk. She was a hard worker. She was always jealous of Kirk. She won't admit it, but she was. She was a spitfire. She cleaned carpets. She had her own carpet cleaning business, and she was very successful at it. The other ones, Jan and Lorna, they lived the gospel and they done all that. They just wanted to be good members of the church, good mothers, good sisters. Kirk was the one that would obey. You asked him to do something, he'd do it. He loved working around my dad. One time they went out to move cattle. Kirk wanted to go, and Dad says, "No, I don't want you to go." He says, "You just be in the road." They had the fence. They'd turn the cattle out, and then they'd do the fencing. Kirk was big enough. They'd say, "Go get us some staples," or "Go get a piece of wire," or a steel post or something. They'd tell Kirk to go get it, and zap, he was gone and getting it. And the guys that was there was 5 in a group, 5 farmers, and they had 5 groups, so there's a lot of different groups. The guys in these groups says, Charlie, next time we move cattle, you can stay home, but you bring Kirk, send Kirk. He was always on the job.
He did a few things. He come back home late a few times, and I met him at the door out there with a shovel. I wasn't going to hit him, I just scared him. He ran around to the back door and come in. That was the end of it. But one time when we were gone somewhere, him and his friends, and I don't know if they climbed on the roof or if they shot the gun at the chimney, but they knocked bricks off of the chimney, and then there's still 1 or 2 off now today. It was just fun growing up with them. They're all different. They all have their own personalities. I love them all just the same. I'm proud of them for what they've accomplished in their lives. They've been good people. They've been good parents. They've worked hard. They've given me good grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and I'm very proud of them, all of them.
I love being with my family, and they love being together. That was the greatest memory. We was always a family. We done everything as a family. We never done a lot of arguing. We just tried to support one another as family members. We supported all their activities and all of their sporting programs. They all had project calves and sheep. And Lorna, when she got old enough, she says, Daddy, do I have to have a sheep? I said, no, not if you don't want to. She said, I don't want to. So she never did.
Well, we tried to teach our kids the gospel, and we had them, go to primary and mutual and all of the activities, and tried to teach them that was important to them, that they learn the gospel. And we feel like we gave them the foundation when they got out all teenagers and out on their own, and that it was up to them to make their own decision and make their own choices. When Elden was in the bishopric, and he had to sit up on the stand every Sunday, me and the kids would sit on the second row. And Kirk would always tease the girls. He would untie their sashes or their shoelaces, or he would pinch them and whatever. And they were always yipping and carrying on. And I was sitting there trying to act like nothing was going on and just smiling up at Elden all the time. So he really never had an idea till I got home and told him what was going on. But Kurt did like to tease. And so, but we got through those 5 years on the first one and 5 years on the second. They were older then, so they acted better. We took the kids with us everywhere. I mean, a lot of the farm work was farm work. But we had a farm out in Holbrook, which is about 20 miles away. The fields were full of rocks. And so for years, we hauled rock. And when Jana was just a baby, I had her in her carrier, and I put her in the truck, and I would drive the truck, and Elden would haul the rock. And one time I looked down, and there was a blow snake on the floor of the truck. And it kind of went up in, those old trucks had holes and things in them, and it kind of went up in a hole there. And so I stopped the truck and told Elden, and we tried to get the snake out, and it wouldn't come out. So I just put the truck in gear and let it drive along, and I put my feet up on the steering wheel, and we hauled the rocks until we had a load, and then went home. And then the next time we went out and we checked, and the snake was gone. It had gotten out. So we just did things like that. And then when Elden had the conical bulk plant and delivered fuel to all the farmers out and around Holbrook and Arbon Valley and all of that, we we'd take the kids, whatever kids we had at that time, and go 40, 50 miles with him to deliver. We always took a lunch and some drinks and kind of had fun on the way. And some advice I would give to a new mother is be patient and understanding, and know that things will pass and get better. And that and just love your kids while they're little, because they'll grow up and leave you. And so don't take everything so serious. Like I said with Jana, I thought she had to be perfect. She had to do this on time. She had to walk on time, and she had to at a certain time, and she had to be potty trained at a certain time, and she had to learn to talk at a certain time. And we were always trying to make her do things, and all that does is make them grow up faster, and you don't have a little child anymore. So just let them be kids. I was reading through my diary, and I found some cards, from my granddaughter, and I told you that I can't pick out one, but she was kind of a favorite. But she just said I've been so lucky and been able to have such a close relationship with my grandparents, and not everyone gets that. Thank you for supporting me, encouraging me to be my best and to work hard for what I want out of life. Grandma, you make the best rolls, Texas sheet cakes, haystack popcorn, casserole, caramel, potato casserole, and much more. And I wish we lived closer so I could see you every day. And then the other one, she said she's had so much fun up to Island Park that we need to go again. And they live down in Saratoga Springs now, so it's harder for them to get up here. And she's married and for about 5 years, and busy working, and they just barely, her and her husband just barely finished school. So in May, let's see, in the summer they just finished school, and they both have jobs, and everybody's just busy. So
They got their own lives.
we've talked a lot about it. They've spent a lot of time here. Well, I've got all my grandkids that are close together. 2 of them are the same age, and Lorna and Carrie have always lived in Utah, but they always came up very often, and when they'd come, all the other kids wanted to come. And so we would have 8, 10, some grandkids here, and they slept over the whole time, the whole weekend together, and so that's why they're all close. They played together. We had them here an awful lot, didn't we?
They'd love to ride bikes down the lane, down to the animals, and come back. And one time, the one little girl, she went down and had the bulls down there, and she said she was so afraid of those bulls. I said, they're not going to hurt you. She was afraid of them.
We went to Utah many, 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 many times to watch the grandkids play ball. And our grandson Braden was a super little baseball player, and then our grandson Jeremy was a super football player, and so we went to all of the games we could. We don't travel much anymore. The traffic in Utah is so bad that we just don't like to go down there anymore.
Is there anything else you want to say to your posterity?
Stay close to the church. Don't ever forget that you have a Savior right there ready to bless you. Make sure you're always worthy to have that blessing. Be good to your family. Love your wives, love your husbands, love your children. Make it a joy to be around them, and make it a joy that they're around you. And grow together as families. And we'll always love you.
And one day we'll always be together again.